for a stun across the face of the black, and just stunned across. I was thinking of giving him an off. Stunned it, just knocked him forward, and himself on the black. Gets out the snip, he clears up. And then 7-4 down the next time I see the table. 7-4. From the break. His last ball's there, just off the rail, white's there, black there. 100 mile an hour, bang, straight there.
Gentlemen, if you'd like to lag, you're ready to rock and roll. I shall count you in from 3 for the lag. 3, 2, 1, lag. Jimmy wins a lag. Frame number 1, Jimmy Croxton to break. Time running.
So we're about to get frame number 1 underway. On the left-hand side of the screen, Omar Mounchid, and he's playing Jimmy Croxton. I'm joined on commentary by Jake McCartney. How are you, Jake?
Good, Nick. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Very good indeed. Straight off the back of your game with Tom.
Yeah.
It's a tough score like that playing Tom, and it's one of the best players around, and you seem to take a little while to settle and maybe find the pace of the table.
Mate, I did. Where do I start? Basically, with the Supreme Pool Series, and I can probably give a bit of insight into this, these tables basically don't exist in Australia at all. And I find it basically a totally different game. Like, for a start, our tables back in Australia are 7 foot. You know, the cloth's not as quick, the cuts are different. And not only that, the Supreme Rules basically doesn't, or we also don't play that at all back home. It's all two-shot back in Australia. But I think this is the way of the future, and I'd love to see not only the tables sort of work their way down in Australia, but also the rules. So I knew coming over it was very tough, but in saying that too, about 2 weeks ago, I just got one of these delivered back home to Melbourne.
Wow.
So I basically, with that and a few other things, sponsors back home, I just sort of said, all right, I want to commit this year. But yeah, I've only had the table a couple of weeks, and yeah, but this whole year, you know, I'll commit, put in a lot of time on it, and hopefully, you know, each one can come back bigger and better again. Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, a couple of weeks to practice. Have you got this cloth on it as well?
Yeah. Lee sent me over the cloth. So, you know, it's running perfect. It's just sort of getting used to it now and seeing you can just play. I just find it totally, not just the rules, but just certain shots where, you know, where I think the white would be going on a 7 foot table is nowhere near this, and the speed. But, you know, I love it.
It's almost coming from an entirely different discipline. I was talking to Chris Melling earlier, coming back from China, you know, adapting from the Chinese version of the game straight onto this, and it's almost the same thing, isn't it? I mean, I know you're using similar sized balls, etc., but the rest of the equipment's just totally different.
Yeah, that's right. It's the same as the rules. Like in two-shot, basically, you know, there's probably a bit more, there's tactics in this as well, but it's more aggressive. But the two-shot, every fair you get 2 shots, where this, you know, you get 1 shot ball in hand and you can play your ball and their ball over the hole and keep going. And yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it.
Oh, it's great to have you across here playing. It really is. It's and long may it continue. Love to see some of the other names from over there. You know, do you think any of the others have got plans? You know, someone like James Delahunty could easily be.
I agree. I personally think, you know, the top half a dozen, if not, if not more. If we had the tables there and all the time, I think a lot of, more Aussies would come over for it.
Yep.
In saying that, now that I've got the table and one name who's got a pretty good name over here, Ben Noonan, he hasn't moved just too far from me, and he's back playing. I wouldn't be surprised next year, get him across. I know Rusty Wheeler's one. But it costs a lot of money. It's a big sacrifice. To commit to them all. So it's not that easy. And Della's another one, but he's got a young family now. I think he's renovating his house and he's taken this whole year off Q Sport altogether.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to see more Aussies as well. But I think it starts if we'll get the tables down there, the rules, because Australia's a bit stuck in their ways as far as not liking change really.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of places around here that don't as well.
Yeah.
I come from Somerset and they're still playing old EPA rules. They call them normal rules down there.
Normal rules.
Normal rules. The world rules is way in advance of where they are, let alone Blackball. And I don't expect half of them have ever heard of Supreme rules.
Even back in Australia, you're in a pub or something. They say, what rules? They say, oh, pub rules. And then all of a sudden, they'll just roll up behind the ball without hitting a rail or anything. That's how old school some places are there.
That's it, old EPA rules, basically.
Yeah.
Crazy. But so give us a bit of an insight into the scene over in Australia, the pool scene. I mean, it seems pretty lively.
Mate, it is. It's very lively. As far as there's a lot of banter, all over the world, and Russ he's probably the main man with that. I know a couple of guys over here know him pretty well as far as stirring the pot. But mate, I think pool in general is growing in Australia. I think it is growing. Like the money matches, Cue Ball TV, which Dan Lynch has got as far as streaming and giving it the exposure. I think it's done wonders, just for Q Sports in general. But mate, I love it. Over there, it's not like a holiday, but as far as I love going away a weekend with the boys, catching up with them, and I just love the social side of it really, and it takes you all over the world, and
brilliant.
And I think too, also the world titles for blackball are in Australia next year.
Yeah,
I think so. Obviously, they've got to import a lot of these Supreme tables. I'm not sure where the venue is, but that'll probably do wonders as well. But for Australia and pool in general.
You talked about maybe trying to get the Supreme tables across to Australia. How do you think you go about that? I mean, you've obviously had to import it from over here, so it's do you start making them down there, or what actually happens?
Where I'm actually working at the minute for All-Star Pool Tables, John Russell is basically a company in Australia that builds tables custom made. We build them for the Australian titles. It's got not even close to these as far as the build goes, but I know JR is interested. Speaking to Kenny or someone at Supreme just about importing them or just a bit of a setup, because we'd love to get it, we'd love to get a massive Supreme tournament over there as well, whether it's a part of this or sponsorship. I'm not too sure, but I know there is things in the pipeline about getting Supreme tables over there. But I think it's the way of the future.
Yeah,
I really do, and I think Australia, is a fair bit behind the eight ball when it comes to that. The two shot, by Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think, Australia, with the two shot, it's head and shoulders above. I personally think, LQ Sports there. As far as the black ball, Supreme doesn't exist. 9-ball snooker, as far as entries go, there's certain tournaments, mate, you can get 300-400 people to a two-shot tournament, to win a trophy, or, they just want to go catch up with mates, and then, we've got Australian titles and whatnot, and they struggle to, fill 128, play a draw, but it's got to start somewhere, and I just hope, excuse me, down the track that we get the Supremes in, and who knows, have a major tournament over there.
Yeah. So just heading back to the scores. you'll see that the leftover games from that winners round 2, Rob Chilton currently 9-6 up against Lee Clough, John Rowe 10-9 against Gareth Hibbett on the hill, and Callum Singleton still just got his nose ahead of Scott Gillespie 8-7. And back to this game, we were just a thrill to be able to talk to Jake and know a bit about, well, a whole different culture, and we'll call it a different ball game because it really is. But just to touch on the game, Jimmy Croxton obviously winning the first frame. Omar Mounchid from Morocco, and I can tell you now, this guy can play. He can compete at the top level. He beat Mark Boyle. Had a really good win over Mark Boyle. I think it was in the grand final, and he had gave Scott Gillespie a big scare last night as well, and pushed him close.
I was just about to make a comment there. It was something that I found out in my first match. I didn't realise the cannon after the break.
Yeah.
And the yellow onto the red has just changed the turn.
Yeah, you can't play it. It's,
yeah, I got caught out with that as well.
Yeah, it's loss of turns. So.
Yes. But you can do yellow onto yellow, which is fine.
Yeah, yep.
You just can't do opposite colour on the go.
So basically, at any time, you have to pot the ball that you're striking first.
Yep.
If you play it as a plant, you would have to pot both of them. Otherwise, it's just loss of turn.
Yeah. Okay.
So Jimmy comes to the table. He has to play the ball from where he is.
Yep.
So it's essentially a failed combination shot.
I don't know, Jimmy Croxton, when I come over last year, because obviously I don't know a lot of the players, over here outside of the two-shot world titles, some of the years that we come over, there's a lot of new faces, but the last Supreme event, or sorry, the one in November that I come over for, I met Jimmy when Joanne Brown was here managing the place with Kenny, a girl from Australia, and she'd organised me a match, just a couple of warm-ups during the week prior to that weekend, and I played Jimmy. And, yeah, very good, but...
Just a couple of scorelines from the rest of the losers round section. Adam Penwell currently on fire against Paul Kelly. He's 5-0 up. And Dejan Gresh is 4-3 up against Ryan Clark. Greg Batten 4-0 against Dave Fernandez. Brian Halcrow 2-0 against Cameron Dunlop. Ben Rowland has already done the business. He beat Jason Ellis 8-0. Holding no prisoners whatsoever. Craig Marsh at risk. He's playing Stefan Rasidi and he's 2-0 down. Liam Dunster also in action. He's playing a very tough opponent in Sanjay Patel. So we'll keep an eye on those scores. Also, Cian Monaghan, the young 16-year-old player who's playing the England international Ben Flack. Young Cian has taken the first frame. So there's some interesting games that are starting off on that losing section. And obviously a couple of games. Rob Chilton now on the hill versus Lee Clough at 10-6. So Omar being roundly punished for that judgment or the lack of knowledge of the rules. I think a lot of the people, they kind of know it, but you just forget, don't you? You just naturally forget. You see a shot. Sometimes you're on autopilot. You have to be thinking all the time. And especially with these rules, in fact, early on in your game against Tom, you played one of the first kind of deliberate loss of turn shots that I'd seen. You played I think you played a yellow onto red to leave the pocket covered at the bottom. As it happened, you left Tom a long one down the rail into a big pocket, and he won the frame anyway. But it was the kind of first deliberate shot that we've seen throughout the weekend. The rules are really not playing too much of a part.
No, I've had to really remind myself, just especially if someone makes an error like with 1 or 2 balls left, Like as far as, you know, you can play your ball onto theirs, get the snooker in the same shot. I've had to really, really remind myself of it because I'm looking
such an
like
advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, sometimes you can be looking and thinking, well, this is a really tricky clearance, and then actually you think, oh, hang on a minute, I can just drop my ball onto his and leave him snooker, and he's in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just remembering that.
Yeah,
and sometimes you see it from the commentary box, and you think, oh, he's not seen it.
Yeah, and I cost myself a frame yesterday in my second, or last night, my second round match where he missed he missed his last ball. I had 5 yellows and they're all a bit tricky. And I went chasing his ball, and I don't know why. Instead of just getting a snooker and promoting a ball, I ended up just going and chasing his ball, and it cost myself a frame. And when I looked back at it, I just went, how obvious was it just to play a little snooker, ball in hand? But I like the rules though. Like as far as, you know, attacking and making the game, you know, from a viewing point of view. I really like the rules.
Yeah,
but it's just, I think, when I go home, I really need, well, it just comes down to more practice in the game, really, but spend a lot of time on them, just making sure you're playing the right shot with this game, really.
Yeah, it really is just about, I mean, a lot of those shots, they're not in our natural psyche, not for any of us, not for the commentators, not for the players, because they're just alien to us. So we're not looking for them all the time.
Yeah.
In world rules, you're always looking at, right, how can I use a DF to my advantage, because it's in your psyche, it's in your mind all the time. But
it's the same off the break as well. I don't know how many times where I've sort of got a yellow or red, because you don't have to nominate, you know, as well. And I don't know how many times, you know, I was about, you know, to call red or yellow, or just so many times.
Just let that one slide away. Just caught yellow on the way through, and he's way out of shape. He's got pretty much all he's got here is the long one to bottom left, isn't it?
Correct, and see in 2 shot too, like this shot for example, it's just probably a prime thing to roll up under the red, you know, as a shot. But just in this rule and just where the tables are, I just find the attacking just the right option.
Yeah, they definitely lend themselves to as an attacking rule set. So 45-second clock, you can see each player does get an extension, which is 45 seconds. So if you hear them call extension, or you hear a voice in the background warning that there's 10 seconds left.
He has played the shot.
Yeah.
It is a good shot there. It probably is the right shot. Yeah, where the Mounchid, I don't know whether you can actually take this red, the first red we're looking at, the last shot, drop it into the corner, or whether that red next to black goes into the far middle, but he doesn't like it.
Yeah, another little containing shot. I think he's under-hit it there. Left Jimmy one in the middle.
Does the yellow come off the bottom rail off the red into the corner? Oh, I reckon that's close, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a better shot. I mean, you can play the yellow off the red and open the pocket up. But you may like to clean these 3 yellows up in this end of the table first.
So who would you rank amongst the top 5 players over in Australia?
Obviously, I've got to be talking about 2 shot. Just this game doesn't exist. But my top 5 at present with guys on a plane would. Ooh, I might get myself in some trouble here. Might be for you guys listening back home. I think
in no particular order.
In no particular order, I would probably have to say I'd have from myself, Ben Noonan, Joel Younger, Mark Robinson, and probably go to sleep Rusty in there for my top 5. Yeah,
You get Rusty in there, would you?
yeah.
What, just so he doesn't give you a hammering on the social media? Is that what that's about? Hey,
I think I've been one of the lucky ones. Rusty,
Rusty's not allowed to go in there. He's just not allowed.
Well, we'll take Rusty out, and I'll put who do I replace with Rusty? Mate, there's a few. Justin Sage is probably up there as well.
Yeah.
Steve Woods, he's back playing now. His first tournament started. He won the thing in March in Albury because he's had the last couple of years off. Come back first tournament and won it, and he beat Robbo and Benny. He didn't beat Robbo. He beat Benny and I can't remember somebody else there. But honestly, the top 5 though. I think it just comes down on the day, the run of the balls, who's breaking well.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot now. Take tables out of it, take equipment out of it. We're going to go on natural ability. Let's just assume that everyone plays and has been practicing on, I don't know, Supreme tables for the last 5 years or whatever.
Yep.
If you picked like a top 5 from over here and a top 5 from Australia, and you did a series of money matches, who's coming out on top? Well, I'm just trying to understand the kind of levels that you've got. I mean, over here, all right, I'm going to add in people like Dunster and Scott Gillespie. I know they're kind of north of the border, but they still make up part of that UK scene rather than just going for English players. But if you take a top 5 at the moment, you've got Cousins, Gillespie. I mean, arguably everyone's got their own, but there's Harrison and Hill and people like that. Where are Australia rating in amongst these kind of players?
I think it's actually tough. Like if I was to say, we're talking a bit of a hypothetical, but
of course,
if I was to say, like just 5 guys off the top of my head, natural ability, just running racks, confident, the occasion and whatnot, I would seriously take us like our best 5.
Yeah.
I really would. But right now, it's just probably the tables are really a massive factor.
Of course,
it's just a massive factor. Like when I speak to people back home, about the game and just the cloth, it's just a totally different game. Like, just not even the rule set. Like, just there are shots you can play on these tables you just cannot do on our tables. And Mick Hill's a prime example. When we spoke to him about the tables, he said, your tables back in Australia are harder, for example, down the rail. But our middles are a bit bigger. And I think it's the opposite on these. I find your middles are tougher. The one it is popping balls down. Obviously, it's still a hard shot and you got to hit them well. But just in general, I just find it harder. But don't get me wrong, that's taking nothing away from anyone here.
No.
These, and what I found on these tables too, it's just so true. Like the tables, like just the cloth, it's so slick. You got to be, I think, more precise with white. Precision. But yeah, I would. Well, another thing too, 2016, it was 8 of us had come over for the World 2-shot titles. We beat England in the semi and beat Ireland in the final.
Yeah. And,
we've come over, we've all had to adapt. We spent a couple of weeks prior to when we come over here, and Alec Everinatis, his pool room in Adelaide called Empire, who had a couple of 6-footers, not supreme, but, there was a similar cut. And we went over there for, I think a week prior to coming over here, which, I think is a really big, thing in us winning that year, which I think, was massive considering we don't play on them all year. We put in a week on them, then we come over here, and I was in Blackpool.
Yeah.
But I know, obviously, there's a couple of names too that have had, I think, Quinton Hand for one, he won the world title, I think, in 90, I forgot what year he was, but he's a Raven Lunatic.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He was one. Ben Noonan's made the
Exceptional
semi.
talent.
Yeah. Ben Noonan's always made the semi. Got beat by Adam Davis there one year. When Anna went on to win the world title, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'd love to see the tables get there in Australia. I think that actually have a pretty big impact over here.
Yeah. Yeah. So a mistake there from Jimmy, missing that red to top corner brings Omar to the table. It's, it looks like he's going to play. Well, he's played it with that element of safety, hasn't he? He's using the rules to his advantage there. So a failed combination shot, so a loss of turn, and has really only this. I mean, he knew that he's got the element of safety. He's leaving a horrible long pot with hamper queuing, and one of the reds also tied up. So this is where the rules, you can definitely play them to your advantage. Omar showing good knowledge of them there. But what a great shot that is.
Great shot by Jimmy.
And what a kiss as well. It's fantastic. Look at this for queuing. That really is special. Well, a lovely little kiss on the yellow just to kick it back out into open play. It looked like it was going nowhere for a second. And he's played that next shot well as well. Omar would have felt certain that he was going to get back to the table when he left that. When he played that little...
I think when he played that, though, Omar, I think you got to come around and have a look at that angle too.
Yeah.
Because, it's a great pod, don't get me wrong with Jimmy, but it's a natural angle, to go straight
to come into it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Omar maybe should have just checked that out.
Yeah. Or if you're going to play it, maybe take the white. If you don't want to pot on both, which I'm not sure whether he did or not, I think he was actually just trying to play safe and maybe try and get the snooker. Yeah. But I don't think there was anything wrong either if you do that. But take the white right over the other side of the table, leave him that red, but the angle's not, like the natural potting angle's just not there to cannon him. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah. So some of these games really grinding out now. They've been going for just under 3 hours. No surprise to see Lee Clough on the table, still battling away against Rob Chilton, and John Rowe 10-9 against Gareth Hibbert, and Callum Singleton 9-8 against Scott Gillespie. He's never been behind in that game, I don't think. Always had the advantage over Scott. It's just about whether he can close the game out. Adam Penwell now 7-1 up and on the hill. So Jimmy with, well, life's easy for Jimmy at the moment at 4-0.
Comes up dry.
Yeah.
He is.
And Omar needs to establish himself in this game. As I said before, a very capable player, but sometimes it's difficult to play in this arena environment, isn't it? How did you find it when you first come out? Early nerves?
It was like I played in it once on the last event.
You did, yeah. I remember you
against
playing.
Carl
That's
O'Donoghue.
right.
He tore me apart, but I felt good out there, like comfortable. Like as far as nerves, not so much.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit. I think too, the arena table was actually playing a little different to ones that's just on the other side of the room. I think it's just quicker again, just a shade quicker as well. I lost the white a bit, in certain areas, but I just think the bigger the occasion, the more I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love the arena, the TV stage, whatever it is, whether it's here or back home. But we don't really have this set up. Oh, is he still on it? Yeah, we don't actually have it as far as with a major, like an arena sort of set up. With our biggest tournament, like Big Guns, for example. There is a table, but it's not set up. It's not set up like this as such. But I enjoy it. I really do. But the first couple of frames today, and when I was walking the venue today, I felt when I was walking the venue today, I felt really good. You know, confident. You know, I felt really good. But then when I got out there, the first frame, the back arm was rattling a little bit, and then I had to cut the water and just said, you know, relax, like you love it. And then I calmed my farm a bit. Yeah, when I first walked in, yeah, and you know, just breaking the first. I just had my first shot. The back arm's going. I'm like, what's going on here? And you know, then settled. But I think it's just you know, you got to get used to it. And just 'cause it's just a different environment. But
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things in Q sport, or for me anyway, everybody's like the world's greatest practice player. Anybody, you know, if you're in your comfort zone, you're playing with your mates, shed at home, whatever it is, everyone, you know, you can't miss.
Yeah.
But as soon as, you know, an occasion arises, or there's a bit of a crowd, there's noise, there's cameras, there's, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, that's when, you know, it sorts people out.
Yeah. As they say, sorts the men from the boys.
That's right. And it's hard, but, you know, I think it'd be key. If you can bring your practice game to comp, that's half the battle. And
Isn't it ever? Yeah. Yeah, I suffer with that badly. I mean, I don't get nervous when I play, but my goodness, I'm a different player in practice than you see
don't
in
worry,
the tournament. It's just
there's 100 of them. It's a heap of them. But when I'm out there too, like I haven't done it with Tom. You know, I've got no dramas having a conversation, or I think you've got to find ways, you know, to make yourself relax.
Yeah. I noticed you engaging with Tom a few times.
Yeah, that, and I've got no dramas with it. Like, it doesn't necessarily break my concentration as such, but you know, if I just feeling a bit uptight, just change it up. One of the things I do as well, which I've had people laugh at me, I'll sing a song. Like everyone's got a favourite song, you know, whatever it is. Just take your mind off it. Like if you miss a ball. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'm not alone. You miss a black, you miss a ball, you know, you want to juggle your cue halfway across the room. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right, I take your mind, I'll sing a song, think, I don't know, whatever, happy thoughts, but, you know, that's just me.
Great.
Yeah,
I know. I was talking to Sean Story last year, and he's very much of the same. He's very much about positive thought and trying to get yourself in the right place mentally.
Yeah.
Talking about Sean Story's in action now against Colin Finn at two apiece. Stefan Rossili's still in the lead against Craig Marsh. One of those games that we were talking about from the winners section has now ended. It was the Gareth Hibbert game. And I can tell you that Gareth has been beaten by John Rowe. So John Rowe was certainly featured deep into the tournament a few times last year without making any real inroads into the very latter stages, but refinding the form that won him that World Championship back in, I think, 2012.
Bit before my time.
Yeah.
2012, actually I might have been... No, I'd just come into the juniors.
Yeah. So I'm waiting patiently. Jimmy's just walking back into the arena, as you see. Just taking a break. And Omar needed that frame just to relax himself. His break in the next. If you can find a break dish here and get back to 4-2, then it just needs to mount the pressure on Jimmy. What a lovely break.
Great break.
Timed that really well.
Oh,
wow.
Been a little stiff.
Yeah. He's okay. He's got the yellow that he's closest to, and all the yellows go. So I don't think this is too bad actually.
He's obviously on it in the corner there.
Yeah, he's on the one end of the corner, and then he can just run through for the one in the middle, and then play the one up the rail into the opposite corner. May not be able to hold. No, he had a bit more angle than I thought, so he's just dropping down. So he'll take both of these balls now into the top left. So your Saturday's starting to warm up. It's just before 1 o'clock. See, the football matches are just starting, and all the 3 p.m. kickoffs in a couple hours, and then of course we've got the Grand National, the big sporting event of the day.
Grand National?
The Grand National, yeah.
What is that?
It's a horse race. It's,
there you go.
It's the most famous horse race. It's
fair income.
Well, I mean, there is a Cheltenham Gold Cup as well, so it's arguable. But today is the day, basically, where all the bookmakers make their holiday money.
Fair income.
It's
we'll have to have a flutter.
It's raced at Aintree. There's normally 40 runners. It's one of the toughest horse races there is. I think I'll have a check in a minute, but I think it's about 4.2 miles, and all of the jumps are huge. You have to watch it. If you've never seen it before,
I've never heard of it.
You have to watch it. It is ridiculous. These horses are jumping over fences higher than me and about twice as wide. And they've got to jump over ditches and goodness knows what. And sometimes there's 40 runners that start the race, and sometimes you only get about half a dozen that finish. I mean, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I think it's around about 4 p.m. And today's the day where if you never have a bet, you always bet on the Grand National regardless. You
got a red hot tip for me?
All the ladies get their couple of quid out of their handbag and go down the bookies. And today's the day that the bookmakers make all their money. And this is why
a red hot tip. Who do you like?
This is why the bookmaker isn't in the event over this weekend, because it's Grand National weekend and he can't afford to be away. Oh, that's a bad miss.
That's a bad miss. I don't think he got a kick. I'm not sure. Maybe he did.
He looked away at the audience and a little shake of the head from the guys in the audience. So
we'll have a look. Yeah. Yeah, you got a mini one. Don't know. I'm not overly convinced he'd sort of potted it.
So it's 5:15 is the race, and it's 4.2 miles, and it's crazy. I mean, literally, there's a horse called Tiger Roll, which is the favourite, but when you think of the test that this race is, literally anything can win it.
It's like our biggest race, basically, back home is the Melbourne Cup in November. We've got 24 runners, and it's worth a couple of mil to the winner. But the same thing, it's nearly a chook raffle every year.
Yeah. So I'm sure the guys on the chat will be able to give us their tips for the Grand National today, and we might be able to follow them and win a couple quid. But it's one of those. Everyone in the workplaces, they all have a little sweepstake on it. Everyone puts in a couple of quid. Yeah. Everyone gets involved in the Grand National.
Yeah, the same at home in Melbourne Cup. But I'm not actually really a gambling man. I'm happy to do it, but as far as I've got no idea as far as the male or what I think's going to win. I normally have a look at the names and go, that one sounds all right. We'll have a dip at that.
Yeah, my friend's pretty good. I'm gonna ask him for
you get the inside mail.
I'm gonna ask him for the information, and we'll have a couple of quid each on it, shall we?
I need to cover the flight so I can get home.
Yeah, exactly.
And the football signing, obviously, you call football here, but we call it soccer back home.
Soccer, that's right. Yeah. So,
but the football here, this might be a bit of a sore point. So I'll call it football. The last time I was over here and I called it soccer, I was nearly in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Well, the Americans call it soccer because they obviously have their own version of American football. You have your own version of the Aussie rules football. So you adopted the name soccer, but to us it's traditionally football.
It makes no sense because. And the other two basically use their hands.
You use your hands. And Saturdays are traditionally the big day.
It's a great shot there by Jimmy.
Yeah, great shot. Yeah, so and today is another big day in football because it's the FA Cup semi-finals. And the FA Cup is the biggest cup in football kind of thing in this country. So all the teams compete throughout the year, and today's semi-final day.
Who plays in the semis?
Today, you're going to get Man City against Brighton, and then there's another semi-final. So that both of these are played in Wembley in London.
Yep.
I believe they're played in Wembley. And tomorrow is Watford against Wolves. So probably some teams there that wouldn't. Man City, naturally, you think to be there, but I mean, quite often you look at your Arsenal's, Man United's, Liverpool's to be in the latter stages. But it's good to see some other clubs. Yeah, Watford and Wolves, and as I say, Man City and Brighton. So everyone, it's a big betting day in the country today. The people,
by the sounds of it,
they love betting on their football as well. So, and
I've never been to a football game over here. I'd love to, just because the atmosphere. I reckon it'd be phenomenal. Just honestly,
what you need to try and do is for one of these weekends, you need to try and find a game. I mean, you're in quite a good place here, and Monday nights, there's normally like a Premiership game on a Monday evening. So you want to try and pick one of the weekends when you're here, and have a look at who's on a Monday, and just try and make it to one of the games, because the atmosphere in those games is, when you got 60, 70,000 people. I took my son for his first game last week at my local team, which is Yeovil Town. And there was only like 3,000 people watching it. And he's only 6 years old, but he's just started to get into football, and he absolutely loved it. He was thrilled. So excited, because the crowd were chanting and everyone was going. And
it's a bit different back home. We can get the same crowds, if not more, 80,000, but. Not so much singing songs like when I've watched the football over here on TV.
Oh, it was very tribal.
Hear him,
very tribal.
Yeah.
So you definitely sing for your team. The whole crowd will just be
I love
behind
that.
them. It's an amazing atmosphere.
Yeah.
So if you've never experienced one, it is a super atmosphere.
But I know obviously there's another 4 events, after this one back here, and obviously I've entered all of them, so I'll come back here. But I know Mrs. wants to come over for a few as well, so I have to say to her, listen,
make a little holiday around it.
Yeah, probably one of the ones, not the last one, maybe the last one. Stay for a couple of weeks and go and do a couple of things while we're here.
Bring it to the one in the summer. I mean, December's going to be cold. It really is.
Mate,
summer's amazing over here.
I've never known the UK to be hot here.
Oh, man. I mean, you should have been here for the event in, I think it was July last year. It was ridiculous. We had a hot summer last year.
It is.
And this place was so hot. It was crazy. We had beautiful weather last year.
What's hot over here? What's hot?
We're probably looking at 30, 31 is a very hot summer. 32 degrees at the outside. But it's a beautiful heat. I mean, there's no kind of humidity. I have been to Australia, and it's not that dissimilar. But you obviously get a bit hotter over there. So
when Howard, when I was speaking to him about coming over, late last year, he sent me the weather. He goes, "It's that hot over here?" And it was like 26, 27 degrees. I sent him one back. I said, "Mate, we've just had a week of 40s." I said, "Hot." I said, "Mate," I said, "That's beautiful weather." I said, 26, 27. And then and it's my error, because I didn't have a look at the weather when I left Australia over here. I just thought it'd be okay, mid-teens or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I mean, when I left Melbourne, it was about 24, 25 degrees. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I wore just pants and a t-shirt, and when I got here and I landed, it was 2 degrees. It was sleet when I jumped on the bus. I said, "Oh, you are kidding me."
The thing is, it has been around 13 to 15 recently, and then we've just had a bit of a cold snap over exactly when you landed.
Yeah.
This time last year was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. So it is variable weather here, but So anyway, we're kind of letting the game speak for itself while we're having a bit of a chinwag about different things, which is always good. The pool talks for itself sometimes. Jimmy's just going about what he needs to do, and a few too many errors really from Omar. He's made a good recovery there. Still got his his work cut out. He's got the wrong angle on the red next to the yellow to get on the one near the black. I don't think he can check off the side rail, and the black's in the way for the bottom right. So
this is a prime example, just in like difference to our tables back home. We could drop this in and still take the ball on in the middle.
Yeah.
We're just, when it's a cloth and, just certain things, there's just no way there,
you can't hold it.
Nah.
Yeah. So.
But that's a great shot.
Clever shot.
Yeah,
that's very, very nice. Really good. Well thought out. Hard to see where he was going to go with that, but that really is well thought out. You can see Jimmy in the background tapping his knee in appreciation of that good shot.
And what about yourself? Do you play pool, mate? Do you play a little, or Supreme Rules, or?
I've played Supreme Rules, but only really in practice. I mean, I'm better in the commentary box than I am on the table. I mean, I've kind of played sort of Super League in the past, and I've never really tried to compete. Never really been interested in money matches. Was reasonable at snooker. I think it's okay. Yeah. I was reasonable at snooker. Never kicking down doors, but I could make a 50 break on a snooker table, and I love the game of pool.
Yep.
But I've never really had the time or the inclination to try and do it properly. And now I'm 50 this year, and my eyes are just absolutely packed in. I've just started wearing glasses permanently recently, and I can't seem to adapt to wearing glasses on the pool table. So when I play pool, I play without any glasses. And it's just getting worse and worse.
So,
I tried to play snooker last year, and I can't actually see the potting angle over that distance.
Long distance.
Yeah. And on a pool table, you can still do it by instinct.
Yep.
So I can still get away with it to a certain degree. But, yeah, I spend so much time commentating now that I really don't get a chance to put the time in to make it worthwhile. So I just kind of take it as it is now. I love the game. I enjoy having a knock around, and I don't beat myself up if
bit of a social.
Yeah, exactly. I'm never going to beat myself up if I'm not playing as well as I used to. So still good enough to beat Paul Moulding. That's good enough for me, really. So there was another game that's finished up, and Rob Chilton's beaten Lee Clough. So just that one game between Callum Singleton and Scott Gillespie still ongoing, which we're watching with great interest. And Callum's 10-9 up against Scott Gillespie, as I say, never been behind. Already through in this losers section, Adam Penwell beat Paul Kelly. Dejan Gresh from Malta has set aside Ryan Clark. Greg Batten's beaten Dave Fernandez at 8-0. Dave Fernandez is some player as well. I mean, he's England international, and he's been beaten by Greg Batten. Chris Day 6-4 against Arfin Dad. Ben Rowland beat Jason Ellis 8-0. So there's a couple of donuts have already gone. And Sean Story 4-2 up against Colin Finn.
I'm sure, no doubt, you'll find Dave Fernandez at the bar.
Yeah, he loves to drink. Craig Marsh is currently 4-all against Stefan Rosidi, and Adam Davis is 8-2 up against, beat Mason Penny 8-2. So a couple of players that we've got interested in the Calcutta still marching on. Sanjay Patel, interestingly, is 2-1 up against Liam Dunster. That one recently got started, but the reigning champion from last year's grand final, Liam Dunster, and an absolute beast of a player. He is struggling this weekend. He lost his first game against Darren McVicker. He was hill in a game last night and came through break dishing the decider, and now he's got another tough game against Sanjay Patel, a very, very experienced player from plays out of Savannah in Whitefield, Manchester.
I actually don't think there's just an easy match over here, like at all. Just the calibre of play that's here. I think the way the rule sets are is just very aggressive attacking. I think every match it's just like a mini final. Like they're just all so very important.
Yeah, Yeah, it's just so few.
Just doesn't get any easier.
There's no easy draws.
First round, the loser side, it just...
Unless you get picked against Adam Penwell, then you just, there's no easy draws. It's like, I can ruin the bloke because he tried to ruin me yesterday, so I told him he's going to get it today. Nice shot, just trying to duck in behind the yellow. Not quite achieved it. I think now Jimmy can play this all the way down table. It's not often you're ever going to see this rule set go tactical, but this one a bit nip and tuck.
And I think too, you need to know the right shot in these situations.
You really do.
I'm sort of asking myself what I'll do with me, here now, and I'm a bit stuck just at the minute.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can nick the red into the middle and play the yellow down onto the pack, but I don't agree with that shot.
No, he's just caught the yellow wrong and knocked it over the pocket. I think he was just trying to avoid that and just leave the white on the bottom rail, but it's just opened everything up for Jimmy here. And that was tough. Tough to know as you say, tough to know the right shot there.
Yeah.
And with a 45-second clock, not a lot of time to work it out.
No, that's right. And if you're feeling like you're under the pump and that 45 seconds feels like it's about 20.
Yeah. Ten each now. And Callum Singleton, Scott Gillespie,
Wow.
Hill.
Who's your money on for the last? For Callum and Scotty.
Oh, they
Toss a coin.
Well,
whoever's break it is.
Breaking, doesn't
Yeah,
it? I mean, it's they've both got massive breaks. Scott probably even more so. That's a lovely shot. And he's even left himself a nice angle. Does he need to develop the one at the bottom of the table, or can he get to the potting angle?
Yeah, that's on.
Yeah, I think you're right. So just probably line of target somewhere around about the black spot, isn't it? Somewhere around there. Oh, he's missed it. Took his eye off the pot, and he's forgotten to hit it.
I've done that a couple of times myself today. Too worried about position, and you take the eye off your pot, and then the next minute you miss the pot.
Yeah. Now Omar can use the rules to his advantage in a second. If he can pot the one closest to the rail, he can plant the other red back down on top of that yellow. Oh, he's gone for it. He's gone for it.
And what you just called too is the right shot, and I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, plant the red down onto the yellow,
and you get the snooker,
and then leave him in the snooker and all kinds of bother.
That's right. Yeah, that is the right shot. And exactly. And I haven't seen it. I'm more sort of thinking like a two shot. I'm like, pot that, get position.
Yeah.
I'm not even looking at his ball. But what you said, that is the right shot.
I'm glad I called one right today. Has to be careful. Don't want to overhit it. He's perfect. Look at that.
Hit that plum.
What a touch. He can just bump into the red and leave himself the black. Good stuff, this from Jimmy. So that one shot from Omar could have turned around the game, but he's missed the pot up the rail. Just missed too many, really. Referee calls frame. Still 10 frames apiece, and that game, well, we're not going to be able to look through the window and see anyone at the table because it's played on table 15, which is fairly deep across the arena, I think.
It is. I played it last night. You sort of hit, not hidden, but you can't see it.
Oh, there we go.
I'll tell a lie.
Get anything from that? He's over there. No. Not sure which game we're looking at there.
I think that's Scotty at the table.
Oh, that is Scott. Beg your pardon. Well picked out.
By the look of it.
He's on a finish as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
By the look of it.
And now, Scotty, is he from Blackball sort of background?
Yeah, very much so, yeah. Yeah, really come to prominence in the last couple of years. He's
yep.
Great player. And still very young as well.
Yep.
And it'll be typical of Scott Gillespie that the only time he'll have been ahead in that match, if he completes that finish, is in the last frame. And of course, that's the only time you need to be ahead, isn't it?
Exactly.
tough opponent to beat. Referee doing a good job just taking the rack off the table. Do you like the shot rack?
Personally, no. But in saying that too, I've spent no time with it.
Yeah.
I've just spent really just absolutely.
But as a concept, I mean, I mean, some people like it because it keeps all the balls touching and it gives you a fairly even distribution across the table. Somebody like Mick Hill doesn't like it because he'd rather see groups because he can use his skill to try and
I tend to
play
agree.
the game of pool rather than just do break dish.
And I think, well, yeah, I'm not 100% sure with it, but I do agree with that theory, like with Mix. I do agree with that.
If there's balls bunched up on the table, he's going to back himself over his opponent to be able to break them up and use his skill, use his cue ball control.
That's right, 100%.
Other players probably.
And I've seen too, which when you don't have the umpire with your match, like it's a bit different on the arena table. When like the first match I played yesterday, I was literally, when you break and the ball's exploding, if they're rolling towards sort of the pack, they can hit it and deviate a bit. I didn't like it. And I know too that I played a shot. I played a shot, and I knew I'd hit it wrong, but it's rolled down. It's hit the shark rack. And then it's literally deviated and made me on this ball.
Yeah.
And I just didn't agree with it at all.
I
kind of have a ref for it.
I mean, there are pros and cons. I mean, I kind of see that. I kind of see that. I mean, loads of tables play differently. Some of them have that little black dot on the black spot, and maybe a ball can deviate over that. And some tables, their cushions play different, and so on.
That's right.
I just think it's just another piece of equipment, and if a ball deviates off of it, so what? I mean, and sometimes it's going to roll in your advantage, and sometimes it's not. It's just like an awkward bounce off a cushion. Balls are going to bounce differently off the cushion and land different places.
Yeah.
So I kind of think of it like that, but I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I don't. And like I said, I've spent basically next zero time with it.
Yeah.
Like I haven't even got one. Obviously got the table a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't even used it once back at home.
You're going to be taking one back to.
Yeah, we've got a couple.
Since
I've been gone, we've got a couple basically at home now. So when I get back, I will use it. But yeah, I'm not against it. I just I'm sort of a bit in limbo with it, really. If it's a part of it, you got to use it. End of story, really.
Yeah.
It's
widely. I mean, is it used at all in Australia? I mean, it's widely used in America, widely used in China.
No, not used anywhere.
No.
For anything, not used at all. And I reckon there'd be only seriously a handful of people that would have used it. Back. I know a couple of guys have ordered them, online. Use them, but
I mean, I've used it a number of times, and I like the split you get from it. I mean, that's just me. I mean, I just like the open tables. I mean, you always get this. Noticeably, get what you see here is. That was a great shot as well, by the way. You get the spread of balls. You get half the balls in the top half and half the balls in the bottom half. And
from a viewing point of view, it's open. Attacking, and I think it does suit the rules, like, you know, it is attacking, but it just turns into a pot fest, really.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
And Jimmy looking very good here. Obviously on the hill.
Yeah.
He should clean these up.
So these last couple of balls, you can see administering the last rites to Omar's event, number 1. He's very capable player who's, you know, just not shown what he's able to do. Maybe the occasion got the better of him under the lights and the TV. But he'll be back for the next event.
Yeah, well done, Jimmy.
Yeah, and Jimmy marches on through the losers round into the next. You can see games in the background. You can see Liam Dunster just lining up a break and Clint Ayatson just behind him. You can watch some of those games. I think you can watch the Clint game for sure.
Scott Gillespie got up.
Yeah, Scott Gillespie won that one. That's not surprising, but the guy he's just a machine, isn't he? Yeah, so winners' qualification's already shaped up. It's going to be Rob Chilton, Neil Raybone, Mark Boyle, Alex Bailey, Declan Brennan, Ronan McCarthy, Phil Harrison, Rob Warren, Sean Chipperfield, John Rowe, John McAllister, Jack Whelan. That's a rematch of a couple of weeks ago where they met each other. That's going to be a great game. Jamie Bennett versus Tom Cousins, and Carla Donahue will play Scott Gillespie. That's another great game. So we look forward to those games in winners' qualification. There will be a match coming up. I'll try and find out who it is. It's actually not been listed yet. So there'll be a game from losers' qualification coming up, which is due to start at 2:30. So we won't be a million miles away. In the meantime, we will try and catch Jimmy for a quick chat about the game. But Jake,
I might love you and leave you,
yeah,
just because I've got to play shortly. But what I do want to do, if I can quickly, there is a couple of people I do want to thank.
Yeah.
Just obviously back home. I better start with the girlfriend, otherwise she'll shoot me. Just for everything she organises, you know, the flights and whatnot. So I do want to thank her, and just the sponsors, Danielle at Collingwood, Raf Benovers at Construction, and Russ Nicholson with All Trade Aluminium. Just thanks to those guys, and last but not least, John Russell from All Star Pool Table too. So,
yeah.
But thanks for that. I'll be back, and yeah, thanks you very much, Ellie.
Thanks for joining us on commentary. It's been a real pleasure to get an insight into the scene in Australia.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks a lot,
Pleasure.
Jake. We'll see you again soon, mate.
Same,
Cheers.
mate.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm joined by Jimmy after that solid performance there. I mean, Omar's a really tough opponent. He's taken out some big names throughout the events last year. So tough game for you, but he didn't really turn up, did he?
No, he didn't, to be honest. He sort of seemed, a couple of things got at him. He obviously got the big kick halfway through the match, which was a big turning point. Obviously I cleared the tail from there.
Yeah. And obviously you took advantage of his early mistake when he played the plant.
Yeah, he obviously
didn't
played the
realise.
plant. Yeah, I don't, to be honest, at the time, I think the ref was a little bit what's going on. I don't think he even realised what had happened, and then I didn't know the rule following that. So it's obviously complicated when you're playing 3 different rule sets all the time. But it's, I mean, you get used to them. But I mean, good game. I'm happy with all players.
Yeah, got to be. I mean, how are you finding how do you find the arena?
The arena's perfect. I mean, this is my club, it's where I practice. Yeah. So obviously I see Lee with his paintbrush out and getting the arena ready. So 3 or 4 days before the event.
It's unusual to see him working, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky. Really, I'm spoilt. Obviously, playing in such a great club and having the tables at probably not quite as quick as that, but at that level, so I get that all the time. So I'm really lucky in that respect. That a lot of players can be caught out by it, whereas me, I'd like to think that I'm half prepared for them sort of matches.
Yeah. So, do you know who you got next?
I'm not sure. I think it might be Ryan Pisani. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. Played him a couple of times. Yeah, I think he just narrowly lost out to Rob Warren there. I think he was quite away in front as well. But
But you're playing well, so.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Just got to keep going. Yeah, it's a tough field. Like I say, it's there's no easy matches in this one. So you've got to beat them all to win the tournament.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Best of luck for the rest of the tournament. Thanks for joining
Cheers.
us. Next up on the TV table is going to be Sheppy against Kapara. So it's Jordan Shepherd against Adam Penwell. That should be a good matchup, actually. It should be good fun. And I definitely won't be taking the mickey out of Kapara as it goes on. So we'll see you up for that game.